talk a little bit more about that, because I think you just mentioned, you said, hey, a lot of people might ask, what does this have to do with business? Everything, and I think there's people that realize that. There are people that don't realize that they just like focus on, let's say, finance. They're focused on finance, which is very, very important. That's part of a great business. But they just never understand how important the other side of business is. So how does that, what you just mentioned, helps with that, getting better at that?
How to align with what I'm saying, you mean, through like a practice or to move toward it?
Through that practice that you just mentioned, that concept.
The concept of Wei Wu Wei is both first of all, it is a concept. And let me just say very clearly, when the closer you get to kind of the truth of what I'm saying, concepts start to fall off, right? So one way to look at this practice is to move beyond knowledge to knowing. Knowledge exists in duality. Knowing comes from, it's instantaneous and spontaneous. So leaders who practice Wei Wu Wei, they may not use that term, but who practice getting their ego or their identity out of the way and allowing spontaneous, effortless action, that's the practice. To always be saying, is my ego invested in this? Who's the I doing the action here? Is it the ego mark with this, is it a contracted sense of neediness, or have I just allowed myself to step back into the expanse and open-heartedness and to let action happen without that actor, without that ego? And so the practice initially is done through just pausing. Like in the SEALs, we said, don't do any action as a reaction. Anything happens, pause, breathe, think about it, and then act. So the act of pausing and breathing and then asking, is my ego invested in this, or can I go back and open up to that spacious awareness and open-heartedness and see what comes out, like see what comes to me from there. And what comes to you will be that spontaneous knowingness. And of course, it'll slip into memory and the ego will want to take ownership of it, but it's happening at the speed of awareness, which is instantaneous. Because, this is the idea of non-duality. Everything is happening instantaneously here now in the present. And then as soon as it slips into memory, then it goes into the speed of thought, which is much slower. And the way the brain is structured, it gets stretched out. And so we perceive it as time. And so Wei Wu Wei, the practice of Wei Wu Wei, is always just slowing down and pausing and going back and opening up the heart and mind and getting into that present moment where you can experience the spontaneity. There's a word that I love from the Japanese tradition, shibumi. Shibumi means effortless perfection. And so when you when you pause, breathe, and open up your mind and your heart, you get to experience that effortless perfection, that shibumi, and you get the ego out of the way. And that's when the magic happens, Abel. I think all business leaders would benefit to learn how to do this, because life becomes very, very different from that perspective.